I'm Trevor Booth, and I'm joined alongside Carson Field. So Carson, let's get right into it. So after a weekend where the Devils went 1-2 at the Gonzaga tournament, and Coach Tomasevich highlighted the necessity for the team to grow and kind of compete in these close games and close them out, the Devils were able to do so and go 3-0 at the NAU tournament this weekend. So what did you see from the Devils this weekend that allowed them to build upon their success and go 3-0 this weekend?
It was a really good weekend for Sun Devil volleyball. They only lost one set on the entire weekend, and this was a great turnaround from the previous weekend, the Gonzaga Invitational, as you previously mentioned. And this is really good for them going forward, as they're a young team, and it will help them build upon this win. And we got some great performances from Hallie Harker and Aluma Akaro, and this will help the team going forward.
Absolutely.
How did the return of Shelby Meyer help the Sun Devils this weekend?
Well, I think the key with Shelby Meyer was the ability for her to provide consistency for the team. Prior to the Gonzaga tournament, she was leading the Pac12 in assists. And the two games she came back this weekend, she was able to stabilize the offense and provide 72 assists through the two games she played this weekend. And it wasn't just like kills to Okaro or Hughes. It was the offense was really spread out. We got to see a lot of kills from the likes of Jeremic and Grahovic was even able to attain all tournament honors this weekend. So I think the key with her is consistency to kind of spread out the attack, and also the ability to keep the Devils, like I said, not being one-dimensional with the likes of Hughes and Okaro that a lot of teams can pick up on. So as we've seen these results, and after seeing the Sun Devils kind of test out different setters throughout these first couple weekends, what can we expect as the Sun Devils go into their last non-conference tournament in Arlington this weekend?
So the Devils play in the Maverick Classic this weekend in Arlington, as you mentioned. And in all honesty, this should be a clean sweep for the Sun Devils. The Devils play against teams such as Lamar, Houston Baptist, and UT Arlington, who are all decent teams, but they're nowhere near the level of a Pac-12 opponent in the Sun Devils. So the Devils should go 3-0 and win all 9 sets, in my opinion, and which I think that would build up a really good momentum for the Sun Devils going into conference play and playing Arizona next week.
Absolutely.
How will the senior leadership of the Sun Devils help them down the stretch this year as they go into the Pac-12 play and play some really good opponents?
Absolutely, and I think some of the key players like Akaro, like you mentioned, and Hallie Harker, the two seniors have been really huge for the development of the 10 new players that are on the team this year, especially the 7 new freshmen, leading the team both statistically and on the court. A couple weeks ago at the tournament, the opening weekend at the Sun Devil Classic, I noticed in their game against Boise State how Hallie Harker and Okaro were kind of just with the team. They seem to be a lot more composed than a lot of the younger people, and that's just because of their senior experience. And statistically, they're obviously leading in their respective categories. Okaro has 153 kills on the year, and Harker has 169 digs as she moves closer to becoming one of the all-time greats in Sun Devil volleyball history, moving up to become 3rd in the all-time digs leader recording. So I think it's important as they continue to show their composure and their ability to lead statistically that the new girls will follow them, and especially with the new coach and Coach Tomasevich, it's going to continue the brand of excellence that she's trying to build for her girls, not just this year, but going forward in coming years as well. So, like you said, we have a lot of tough teams this year in the Pac-12. There's Stanford, there's UCLA, and a lot of other great teams like Washington that are going to continue to provide the Sun Devils a lot of trouble this season. So as we move into Pac-12 play next weekend, starting with Arizona, what can we expect from the Sun Devils, improving from last year and seeing what they can do against some of these top quality teams?
Well, I think the Devils will be improved this year, as they have already shown improvement. They've had a pretty good non-conference to start the year. I don't see their record improving much from last year. Last year they were 5-15 in Pac-12 play, and maybe they could get up to 8 wins this year in Pac-12 play, but it will be difficult. As you mentioned, the Pac-12 is maybe the best conference in college volleyball. They had 8 teams in the NCAA tournament last year. Stanford won the national championship. There are also teams like Washington, Oregon, UCLA, all great teams. And it's a young team, so it may take some time to really start winning a lot of Pac-12 games. But I like what I see in the future for the Sun Devil volleyball program in the coming years. Tomasevich has shown that she can really coach the team well, and it has a great future for the team.
Absolutely. With the quality of excellence that she's trying to establish, especially with what she did with Washington, as a player in Washington, it's going to be interesting to see how this program moves forward, young and upcoming. And that's going to conclude for this week's Devils in Detail Volleyball Roundtable. For Carson Field, I'm Trevor Booth. We'll see you next week.